Good afternoon, Sue Hammond. I followed closely your politics over the years, and you represented NDP. Platform Media is a news organization that represents the Black community in Lower Mainland, and it's happy to welcome you to our program.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Yes, I see what your party is organizing. It looks to me to be a new initiative in terms of community organization, bringing the community together, and also bringing political awareness to the community. Is that?
Yeah, I would say that's a new initiative. It is so needed. Our communities come from a variety of places in the world, which you know well, and sometimes they come from areas that do not have a tradition of democracy, and sometimes they come from areas where there is no democracy or it has been broken. And oftentimes the rulers can be threatening, or the authorities can be non-welcoming. But here, our democracy is yet very, very fresh in many ways. It's evolving, it's getting better, it's becoming more inclusive, and we are pulling people into that process because it doesn't belong to any one of us, it belongs to all of us. And if we don't participate, we can lose it. And so you have to ensure that people know that the House in Victoria, the legislature, is their house. It's making rules on their behalf. We have the power to choose who goes there and who they speak on behalf of and who they make rules for. And it is critical that all our communities understand that that's their power, because that is the power of a democracy.
Okay. The last election is around the corner, and in the last election, everybody, just like what happened down south of our country, everybody expected NDP to win the last polls, and unfortunately, Adrian Dix's led party, NDP, didn't make it.
No, it was a shock.
So it was a big shock.
Yeah,
so, stemming from that, what are the necessary adjustments you think NDP will have to make in this election?
Okay, well, first off, let's take a look at our initiative in terms of reaching out to more communities. Mm-hmm. In the last election, 53% of eligible voters voted. So we have a big number of people that aren't taking part in our democracy. Mm-hmm. They're allowing other people to make the decision on their behalf. So one of the things we've done is we've made a very big effort to be more inclusive in terms of including people in the process, getting them to understand what is at stake and how elections are run. And I spend a fair amount of time in schools also explaining that. So we have done that initiative, but we've also taken a look at policies and tested them against what the community wants, probably taken a harder, strong stand immediately on Kinder Morgan, things like that. So we've sort of polished up the boots and are getting out there to march again and try to win the government.
Lastly, I saw that Jane is not coming out for the next election, and in the community, people think that's a big loss for NDP because Jane was very, very visible in the community in terms of community participation and reaching out.
There is no doubt that it is not only a loss for the party, but it's a loss for British Columbia. In 4 years, Jane made a mark, and that is very, very unusual in terms of a rookie coming on and making that kind of presence in the community. But it does signal to all of us, right, that there's incredible talent in our community, and we need to bring them forward and bring them into the limelight and have them shine, right? Just like Jane did. She's remarkable, and I love her dearly.
Okay, thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best in the next elections.
I'm not running either.
No, the party.
Yeah, very good.
Thanks.
Very good, thanks.
Let me welcome Raj Johan, representing Barnaby Edmonds as an MLA in Victoria, and also the Deputy Speaker of the Legislature in Victoria. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. I can see every one of us in the community, especially behind my community, being very appreciative of the new initiative by NDP to reach out Is that a new direction of the NDP?
Well, if you look at the history of NDP and our predecessor, CCF, you will find that the NDP has always stood with the minority communities. In the early 90s, when people were not allowed to come to Canada, and those who came, they were not allowed to vote, it was the NDP, CCF, who stood and fought for those rights for us. Because if you, I don't know if you remember, Kamagatamaro incident happened in 1914. When that ship came, people from India, the South Asian continent, were not allowed to land in British Columbia. So as a result, a huge struggle took place. So with the help of CCF and some progressive unions like International Woodworkers of America, it took many years. Finally, it was on April 20th, 1947, people got the right to vote again. So that's the NDP tradition, that's the NDP's history. And now Canada has become much more multicultural. In British Columbia, we are very multicultural. In Burnaby alone, we speak over 100 different languages. I had the honor to got elected first time in 2005. So this is my third term and going for the fourth one. And we have election now in 2009, on May 9th in 2017 in 3 months. I want to make this comment that, given the situation, what's happening south border, with Mr. Trump as being president, it has become very alarming that the people's rights, human rights, people of color in general, are under attack, constantly under attack now. People who, we thought have become much more aware about the general rights, or rights overall for people, have now come out of the woodwork again, they think they have the right to attack us. How can we stop it? We can only stop with people like you who are watching this program today. People like, the producers of this show, who are conscious and are aware to raise awareness on an ongoing basis. We stand together. We have to protect each other. We have to work with each other. That incident happened in Quebec. 6 Muslims were killed, by people, propagating hate. That's what it was.
Okay. Yeah, I saw your leader, national leader, pressurizing the prime minister to make a pronouncement about the position of Trump. Do you think that would be giving an open criticism of Trump that will give you a leverage about being able to fight for immigrants?
Well, we cannot sit quiet. Like when you're talking about human rights, the history of human rights, if people in the past have, just stood back and didn't do anything, we would not have won those rights. Rosa Parks, was not a woman of, this kind of background who would just sit back at the bus and do nothing.
Yeah.
People like that, that we admire. That's the only way. When you speak up for your rights, when you say wrong is wrong and right is right, that's the only way we can win our place in the society. Yes, I can understand that some people are concerned that if we openly criticize Mr. Trump, it may not be very diplomatic, but he is forcing people to take stand. The world leaders are now speaking up, standing up. And people, if you are concerned about human dignity, human rights, you have to stand up. Millions and millions of people had that march, Women's March the other day, because they are concerned about Mr. Trump. So I think every leader should take a stand.
Okay, let me quickly, because you are the Deputy Speaker.
Yeah.
The policy of the British Columbia government by Christy Clark to suddenly go back on the foreign tax for foreign owners. What is the position of NDP on that?
Well, if you read our statement that we had been, saying for the last 3 years, our leader, John Horgan, our House leader, housing critic, David Eby, we have said long time, for the last 3 years, if you want to address the issue of affordability, if you want to address the issue of housing, what Christy Clark did was not the right thing to do it. Yes, some people say, oh yeah, put 15% foreign buyers tax on housing, so there would be no Chinese money coming in. But the affordability situation is still bad. Housing prices have not come down as they should have.
Okay.
So we had been saying, look, follow the bad money. If there's a bad money coming in, we should stop it. We should encourage people to come and invest if they are legally doing it. But if somebody is doing it illegally, we should not allow it. But we have to have policies to make sure our children, your and my children who are born here, will not be able to afford to buy a house in British Columbia the way it is. If Christy Clark had acted upon our suggestion 3 years ago, we would have corrected it, but she did not. Now she's doing it because election is coming.
Okay, so you are in for election on March 9th.
Yeah, May 9th.
May 9th.
Yeah.
You are in for re-election. Okay, wish you the best of luck, sir.
Thank you so much for
And see
having
you
me,
at the
and
other
I
part.
wish you all the best. And I hope everybody goes out and participate in election. That's the only way we can keep Canada democratic, if we participate.
Feet First Services. At Home Foot Care Services, we provide medical pedicures, foot care, diabetic foot care, and fingernail trimming. Call us today, 1-800-234-9408 or 778-883-2381.
Good afternoon, Harry Baines, representing Suruniti as an MLA in Victoria. Welcome to Platform Media International Political Arena.
Well, first of all, what's going on around the world today, what happened in Canada, in Quebec City, I must say that our deepest condolences to the families who lost their loved ones and those who were injured. And I think it brings us and to reflect what Canada is all about, because that's not what Canada is. The Canada is more inclusive. Canada is more respectful for diversity. And this is the only place where we see unity in diversity. And what we see here today is dozens of different communities from all over the world coming here, getting together at our second annual multicultural reception, is to show that the Canada is more inclusive, that we are banding together. We are going to make Canada a better place for our generations to come. The Canada that will be that is envy of the world, where they see that unity and diversity is practiced in Canada. And Canada wasn't always like this. We had challenges. We have some racist laws over the years, but all the good people that came before us, they didn't give up on Canada. They decided to band together to build Canada, which is more inclusive and respectful. So the Canada that we inherited from them is because of the hard work that they have done, and it's our duty now, coming together, sending a strong message to those who are divisive forces, especially across the line, who are practicing politics of division based on religion, color of the skin, or the place of origin. We need to stand together as a world community, that you cannot divide us.
Okay.
That we are going to stand together, and we are going to make Canada more peaceful, more inclusive. Continue on.
Thank you very much. You just mentioned about this is not what happened in Quebec. It's not what Canada is made of, because that's not Canadian values.
Yeah.
What do you think would have contributed to this strange event that happened in Montreal? Is that because of the rhetoric that we hear across the southern border?
It probably adds to it, because many people, there are always going to be some racist people, the bigot, but when they know that their voice isn't going to be heard, that they will not have any meaningful impact on good people, they go in hiding, they go underground. But when a leader like President Trump, the strongest person in the world, representing strongest country in the world, when they talk about divisional kind of politics, then these people get the encouragement to come out. I think that is a bad sign. I think that's why I'm calling on the world community and to play a role now and stand up to this president to say, look, your type of politics have no room and no place in today's politics. Today's world is more inclusive, and we are going to move forward together by looking out for each other, by supporting each other, and we want to reduce the inequality that exists in the world. The African brothers and sisters and our children should enjoy the same benefits as the Europeans do, and the Asians and the North Americans and everyone else everywhere else in the world, that we as human beings deserve and have a right to have a good living, peaceful living in our own neighborhoods. And I think that's the kind of message we have to send to the President of the United States. And I think many leaders are doing it. I'm thankful for that.
What do you say to people in the community who are scared that what is going on in North America, what's going on in America, can have an effect in the next election? Who are scared that things going on in America can happen here?
Well, that's why it's important that we can never be complacent. The democracy that we have gained, the basic values that we practice, we need to continue to strengthen those by banding together, being vigilant that no one can come like what happened in the United States to divide us. So we need to continue to talk about how we can work together and how we can actually make our communities better. Now, message always has to be, it's not that some of the few bad people who could destroy our society and our community, or the peace of our society community. It's the good people when they stop standing up to these bad people. Right now, all the good people are standing up. I'm happy about that. But yes, we allowed elections in the United States to elect a person who is not a person that brings communities together. He divides community, and I don't think we need to let him do that.
Do you believe in the dictum, don't complain, don't sit at home, vote?
Absolutely. That's one thing. The minimum you can do is make sure that we vote. Exercise your electoral right as a democratic person. As a person who lives in democracy. You know what? Many people probably don't know. Until 1947, 1948, many of the people who came from Asia, like Indians, Chinese, Japanese, or First Nations, didn't even have a right or had a right to vote here in British Columbia. Many good people fought for that right, and therefore, for the sake of those peoples and sacrifices they made, we should all go out there and vote. That's the minimum we can do. The second thing we should do, when you see someone next to you at a workplace or in your neighborhood or a shopping mall being harassed or being picked on, you stand up for that person and stand up to the aggressor. And that's the kind of message we need to send individually and collectively. We want to make sure that we continue to elect the government and our leaders who are uniting force rather than divisive forces.
Harry Baines of Surunity MLA in Victoria, talking to Platform Media International, political arena. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
My pleasure.
People are quite surprised that you put a fast one on everybody, because after the good work you did for NDP across Lower Mainland, and everyone talked that you're moving up and that maybe you become an MP, you pulled out and you're going out of politics. How is that?
For me, politics is a very challenging service. And I was very fortunate to have the support of so many community members and as well as my New Democrat Caucus members. Mm-hmm. And it's an experience that's a privilege for me, truly. But I am at a stage in my life that I do miss the ability to be able to serve freely. And with politics, there comes certain partisan boundaries. It's often sometimes limits in the way you can work in surprising ways. And I thought that I can be best service to all the communities that I wanted to represent, including our Nigerian brothers and sisters mm-hmm. and our African Canadian families, mm-hmm. by just taking a little step back so that I can assist as a better conduit, as opposed to being a politician where you have to be very confrontational a lot of the times.
So where are you going?
So I'll be going back to my former form a career in advanced education. So I'll be going back to the college, and I'll be an administrator and go back to being a college professor instructor.
Many people have asked me where you draw your inspiration from.
Where do I draw? Oh, I draw my inspiration from the fact that being not quite second generation, but being an immigrant here, when I came here this young, I thought everything that we love about Canada, I thought it was always the case. I had no idea growing up that the rights that we have today wasn't until only very recently, because people like Bruce Ralston, people like Sue Hamill, people like Raj Chauhan, people fought to have the kind of freedom and the rights that we have today. And the fact that what we have today, it can only take the kind of movement that you see in the States right now to make it all disappear, make it all crumble. And so my inspiration comes from the fact that I recognize better now that the rights that we have today didn't come for free. Many people had to lose their lives for it. And that the least I can do is to contribute and be a part of that movement so that we can make it better and protect it. So
do you feel fulfilled for the fact that during while you were an MLA, NDP didn't come into power in the British Columbia?
Do I have fear?
Do you feel fulfilled that's on that?
I do. But whether the New Democrats were in opposition or the times that we were in government, I believe in having that voice of conscience always amongst us. That if you're in opposition, we continue to ask for accountability. We continue to make a fuss, and we stand together. In room like today, we're in opposition, but this is us making a statement. Our Nigerian media is here, our Korean media is here, our Taiwanese media is here, and we're all making notes and sharing with our communities of our testament and our commitment. So we're going to be that force fighting for the good, whether we're in government or whether we're in opposition. But if you're in government, we can make things happen a lot faster for the better, right? So.
Jane Shin, the MLA for Burnaby Lougheed.
Thank you so much to the Nigerian community.
I wish you the best, Jane.
Thank you. And I'm not stepping out, and I'm not gone for good. I'm always going to be with everybody. And I want to say thank you for the support you've given. And I look forward to continuing to serve with you as a friend and an adopted daughter in your community. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
God bless. Thank you.
Feet First Services. At Home Foot Care Services, we provide medical pedicures, foot care, diabetic foot care, and fingernail trimming. Call us today, 1-800-234-9408 or 778-883-2381.
You're going to ask me some questions?
Welcome to Platform Media International. This is Bo Rastin representing Surrey North, right?
Surrey Wally, but it is.
It used to be Surrey North. Surrey Wally as an MLA in British Columbia Legislative Assembly. Now, election is around the corner, and people, what is going around in the southern part of the border seems to bother people a lot here, especially the immigrant community. That things like what is going on in America will find a place in Canada. What do you have to say to people who are expressing that sentiment?
Well, I think people here, sometimes in Canada, we're maybe a little bit too self-congratulatory. We do some good things in Canada. We are strong communities. We are tolerant. But I think people are wrong to take that for granted, because if you look at what's happened in the United States, it's changed overnight, and a number of darker forces have been unleashed. So we have to be, I think, we can't take things for granted here.
And what do you ask those people who are expressing that statement to do on May 9? What are they supposed to do on May 9?
Well, I think our party, my party, the BC New Democratic Party, has a strong and long record. It's part of what we are, of speaking out for immigrant communities and having them represented in the legislature. We had the first black woman in the legislature. The first man of South Asian origin in the legislature, first woman of Canadian of Chinese descent, first First Nations woman in the legislature, first woman of Philippine. So there's a lot of firsts there, and the reason that they're New Democrats is because that's what we do, that's what we stand for. So if members of Canadians who trace their origins to other countries are looking for a party that will stand up for inclusiveness, for tolerance, and not just talk about it and take action, then the New Democratic Party is the party to vote for.
So you're coming back for re-election in the coming election, right?
Right.
Okay. And what are in terms of also, we just mentioned about immigrants. What about workers who are expecting good conditions of service? I know that New Democrats have always advocated for the right of workers. Is there any other added value or in terms of your campaigns that you give?
Well, the other side talks about talks that talk, but and some jobs have appeared. But what the problem with what has been done is many people who are listening to our conversation or watching this program will know that they work in jobs that are short-term, part-time, contingent, and sometimes minimum wage or below, and their rights are not enforced. So it's what we're advocating for is a labor market and jobs where they're family supporting jobs, where people have good jobs, and they can be proud and support their families on what they earn.
Is there any policy that you're laying down that you're trying to pursue in the legislature for single mothers and maybe people with?
Well, a couple of things. One is we think the minimum wage should be raised to in a number of steps to $15 an hour. Given the cost of living in British Columbia, we think that's a reasonable position. The other side doesn't support that. The other thing that we've advocated, and our leader, John Horgan, has announced, is a program of $10 a day childcare. So if you're a working mother or a working father and you want to get into the labor force, if you have children, one of your worries, one of your anxieties is that those children will be cared for properly. So, and in the Lower Mainland of British Columbia, childcare is very, very expensive, and it can eat up a third or a half of your paycheck. Doesn't serve any of us well that people aren't in the labor force and that children aren't being raised in good conditions.
Okay. So I wish you the best in the coming elections, and if you need our support, let us know.
Sure, and maybe just before we go, I do want to note, because I represent, as I've said, Surrey Wally, and in Surrey Wally on King George Highway, there is a community of citizens of the African Canadians of the African diaspora. It's a little bit unnoticed and unacknowledged, but I've worked with some of the merchants there. We put together an association of merchants of African origin, and increasingly Surrey is the hub for Canadians who trace their origins to Africa. And I'm very proud of that. I'm working with that community, and I think it's a growing community and a vibrant community.
Okay, sustain that, and I wish you the best, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.